Hello, my name is Jihoon. I'm a research engineer at the Ethereum Foundation. My role is bringing forefront research ideas into production, serving as a liaison between researchers and developers, and I'm also recently became a Bitcoin Chain Spec maintainer. So this talk is about what it takes to ship an EIP. I'm gonna walk through the process from the practitioner's perspective. Some EIPs go smoothly, some EIPs contentious, but I do hope this talk could give you the sense of what's it like to proposing a changes to Ethereum. So let's take a look into how it makes changes to Ethereum. Ethereum protocol is evolving. It has a governance process that decides what goes into the protocol. Governance can be either on-chain or off-chain. On-chain governance is when protocol changes are decided by on-chain voting, typically by governance token holders, whereas in off-chain governance, a process of social discussion makes decisions, and the decisions are implemented in code later. Ethereum has adopted off-chain governance. Roughly speaking, when you have an idea of proposing some change, you want to write it as a proposal. You want to discuss with as many people as you can to flesh out your idea. You're gonna use write-ups, either in the Discord, ETH Research, Ethereum Magicians, or Twitter, Signal, or whatever to share and discuss your idea. And then you're gonna write an EIP. How to write an EIP is a different topic, but there will be a talk regarding that, so please check it out later. Now, let's say that you want to advocate for your EIP. We call those people EIP champions. As an EIP champion, you want to demonstrate that the proposal is valuable for Ethereum, technically sound and reasonable, and has higher priority than others. We decide which proposal to implement in All Core Devs Call. It held every Monday and Thursday at 14 UTC. It's open for everyone, so you can present your proposal there. You should be able to find a GitHub issue under the Ethereum PM repo. You can leave a comment there about what you want to discuss during the call. And if the moderator finds it relevant to the call, then you will have a chance to discuss. So if everything goes well and people approve your proposal, it will be included in an upgrade. Of course, there are many back and forth and iterations, but we will jump into it later. So that's the overview. Now, let's say that you have your EIP prepared. You've done lots of research. You went through the EIP review process. You got your EIP number. You shared it on your Twitter. You got many likes. Great. Now, you are in the beginning of your journey. Writing an EIP is definitely a good milestone, but it's like you are at 5% there. So idea doesn't talk itself. You want to have people learn about your EIP and then convince them to include it in a fork. If your change is small or not contentious, then it could go smoothly, but it might not always be the case. People are not always agree with you. People might be too busy to take a look into your proposal. People might just misunderstand your proposal. So you probably want to share some write-ups or Twitter threads that capture the gist of your proposal. You could also do podcasts. You can answer many questions in the Discord. You probably going to find yourself repeating the same things over and over again, so you better be prepared. And sometimes people come to you and say, I broke your design, but actually when you look into that, that's actually on top of your FAQ. Sometimes people give you like great feedback, but sometimes people just don't like your proposal, but they cannot come up with why they don't like it. So there are many cases, but in any cases, you should be able to convince yourself in order to convince other people. So you will have to communicate with people a lot. You want to reach out to different stakeholders such as researchers, client developers, application developers, staking communities, L2s, builders, you name it. You basically want to have them on your side to back your proposal. Then you need to listen to them, and if they're not pro for your proposal, then you need to figure out why and solve it. So basically, you should be able to answer the question of why do we need it? Is it valuable? Does it have to happen now? Is it forward compatible? Getting various feedback and having more eyes on your EIP will make it more robust. You might find some bug. You might learn something you haven't really thought about. For example, I've been working on Fossil, and we didn't know about we could use Fossil as a force inclusion mechanism for L2s. That's what we learned down the road. It might sound intimidating if you have to reach out to all of them, but as you talk with them, they will connect you with other people, and sometimes people just come to you. So every journey begins with a single step. The last point that I want to talk is, although it's not strictly necessary, there are many EIPs that are included without it, but having specifications and client implementation could go a long way. It is probably the best way to demonstrate the technical readiness of your proposal. And all core devs is, as the name suggests, is for core devs, and sometimes developers find it easier to read code rather than reading a conceptual paper. And especially if you are proposing closer to the deadline, people want to see if your proposal is mature enough. So in that case, providing a spec and implementation could be a good answer. But in reality, it doesn't always work out. So people might find other EIPs more important and more urgent than yours. Yours might turn out to be just nice to have, for example. Some people might support your EIP because it would pave the way for their favorite EIPs and something they want to achieve. But somehow things get changed, a new idea came up, and they don't want your EIP anymore. Things happen. And sometimes proposals gets killed in a later stage. It could be because some edge case is found that could invalidate the whole design. For example, EIP 7547 is a formal version of inclusion list to Fossil. It was killed because there was a case that it could halt when there is some interaction with account abstraction transaction, or some previously unknown issue came up and it delays the fork more than enough, and that could be escalated to a deal breaker, unfortunately. So be aware that even if it's scheduled for a fork, it is not the end until its end. So that was pretty much what I prepared for today, formulating your idea into EIP, building the community consensus, and if it's scheduled for an upgrade, you still want to keep your eyes on it. Some unknown issue might appear, and people will come to you to ask for something because you are the one who knows all the history. So it might look like a lot to take in, but All Core Devs Call is open for everyone, and if your idea is a good idea, people will recognize it, and there are people, including myself, who are working on Ethereum for full time, and you can always collaborate with them. So Ethereum is an open source, and I would encourage you to contribute to Ethereum, and thank you for your listening.
So we have got another 4 minutes. If there are any questions. If not, then I would hope that you guys should consider taking a look at not Fellowship of Ethereum Magician, but also the ETH Research Forum, and consider being an author and helping us out. All right, we are around, and we are, I guess, 3-4 minutes ahead of time. So if there are any question or anything that you would like to know about the process, please raise your hand.
Hello, I've been out of the process for quite a while, but the numbers start creeping high and we're in the 7,000s. There was a long time ago discussion of once we get past 10,000, do we do like 11xxx is going to be for a particular sort of change and 12xxx will be another and we'll divide up that way. What's the development been? Is this just like we're going to soon get EIP 13,055 and it's just going to be the same as like 14,055 and it will just be chronological? The GitHub repo situation, like what's the movement there? From like the past 5 years or the evolution of this, if that's fine.
All right, I think I can perhaps take this one. So earlier, the way we used to allocate EIP number was based on the pull request. And that's how we reached to the number that we do not have those number of EIPs as we have number of PRs. That's right, yeah. So we have stopped it actually. We are now going sequentially. So you would not be able to get a special number just by making your entry in the GitHub pull request as like very special number. No, that's not how it works anymore. So the way it works right now on today's date is like you have to make a pull request. We have a team, of course, editors allocate the PR numbers, but we do have people who are helping out. They are called associate editors. They will take a look. We are trying to get it done in next 24 hours after your PR is there, and that's how you are getting the number. We are in process of making this process automated, so we don't need intervention of editor or the associate editors. But while we reach there, this is the present process. And yes, we are not going to get a huge number for EIPs very soon. Thank you. And any more question? We have 2 more minutes. I can perhaps take one more.
Hey, Jihoon. What would you say has been the most troublesome part of your entire journey to pushing Fossil, and how would you go about recommending to fix that?
All right, Phil, it's a good question. Just give me a moment. There are a lot.
The best one.
The best one. I would say the moment we CFI'd Fossil, I mean the moment before we did it, like in the Berlin interop, when we as in like people who've been working on Fossil, ask people around like, what do you think about Fossil? Do you want to ship it? And then the response was like nearly, I would say like 98-ish people were like, great, we want Fossil, we want censorship resistance, it's important, but it turns out that it may not be true, like because of priority for cadence, complexity. I get that because like, you know, things are always changing and people always change their opinion because they learn something new every day. There was kind of a little bit of a surprising news for me because I thought that there will be no hurdle for Fossil to get in. Still is struggling, and we don't know how it's going to be like after like 2 weeks, for example. And your last question would be how would I recommend to amend it? Honestly, I don't have a good answer to that question. If you want to try to tackle it, then we need to define like what the problem is. Like, do we agree that that's a problem? Yeah, I think many things boils down to coordination across different stakeholders who measure things in different values, and I'm not sure, to be honest.
Maybe if that is of any comfort, I have seen proposals getting out of upgrades list just a day before the upgrade goes live. So this is not the end of the journey of an proposal. We could see more proposals getting in, and there are possibilities. Sometimes we give a break to a proposal, assuming that either the proposal is not fully ready or the team is not fully ready to implement that proposal alongside of many other proposals which are getting in. So I would like to wish you all the best. We would love for your all the work that you have done here, and we hope that we could see it in the next upgrade. Thank you, Jihoon.
Thank you, Pooja.